tell you what you do for a living?
Well, what I do for a living, I've never really written a CV on, quite a strange one I think if I did, but I started life, I grew up in Exmouth and was very drawn to the coast, very drawn to the sea. I lived in a stone's throw away from the beach and had two early passions really. One was sailing and the other was rugby, and I wasn't getting any bigger, so I chose a sailing path and have pretty much made that my career, from finishing school, going straight into joining a professional sailing team, and from 17 until just a few years ago I was competing full time, starting from crewing from other organisations and then slowly building my own experience, build my own campaigns, fundraising, raising the capital to do my own projects, and leading on to sailing around the world and so on.
Is it just sailing that you tend to use the coastline for, or have you got involved with anything else in the area?
It's certainly been the main draw. Plymouth's an ideal harbour. It's a very deep water harbour. It's very close to the Atlantic. Metaphorically, very easy to get out into the Atlantic. Not without lots of shipping lanes and so on. So it's a good training base. It's also got a lot of historical significance with the sea, but actually in the world now it's lost some of its stature that it used to have many years ago, and people tend to base themselves a little bit closer to London because of corporate activity, but what I really like about Plymouth is A, there's accessibility to the Atlantic. You're just straight out there. B, I love growing up in the southwest and being close to the Cornish coast and to Devon and Cornwall. So wherever possible, I've made this my base and encouraged other people to come to here for meetings rather than the other way around.
And can you tell us just some of your memories of what you've done in the coastal waters of Plymouth and the surrounding area?
Well, where do I start? I guess when I actually moved down here and went and walked around the home, thought quite a lot about the historical significance of the home, and you can't fail but look out across that coast and be drawn to the sea. And I'm someone who normally is looking back at coasts after departing places. And probably one of my biggest memories was departing on a race called the Transat in 2004, and it was my first single-handed transatlantic. So there's a very sort of special connection because when you go off and do something very alone like that, you have to be sort of very one with yourself and very one with the environment. And the race is a very significant race for Plymouth because it started in 1960. The first race was won by Sir Francis Chichester. Only 4 people took part, and since that date, it's always started from this particular city. So to start any race, never mind this particular race, was quite exciting. And that first night at sea, you're not far away from Plymouth at that point, is it's incredible. Thinking about those that have gone on to sail from here, going right the way back through history, there's huge connections, and now you come to think of that as being quite important to where you're based. I've never really thought of that because I've been all over the world, sailed into incredible harbours all over the world, and I have some real favourites in other parts of the world, but Plymouth has become, I'd say, very much home to me.
Have you noticed any changes, like environmentally within the marine environment as you're coming through the coastal waters? Have you noticed any changes with them that you could pair up with these changes that we're seeing on land as well?
Yeah. I mean, there's some significant changes for the real positive. When I first moved here, you couldn't swim in the Sound. In fact, you couldn't go sailing in the Sound without getting some sort of stomach bug or ear infection. And there used to be 80 or 90 raw sewage outlets going into the Sound. Now, largely because of the Clean Sweep programme across the southwest, that's not the case. And in fact, the consequence of the lack of pollution going into the Sound is that we've got dolphins and seals taking quite often residence in the Sound. So there are some some real positives, and that's I think needs to be celebrated. People need to be made aware, and one of the projects that we're working on this summer is just that, to try and say that there is some fantastic assets in the water and around the coast that people need to sort of re-engage and get a love back for, really.